The defeat of the French forces was complete, a shocking turn of events on a day which started with so much promise. Napoleon had assembled a massive army from his empire, and the Russians did exactly what he wanted by standing firm on the hills near Borodino. And yet his army was crushed by an unexpected turn of events. His defeat was total. The future of his empire was now in question. But that's not what happened. The term simulation, as applied to war games, may be defined as the attempt to create a realistic setting within the confines of a board game format. There are certain definable elements within simulations, such as the identification and strength of forces, the type of weaponry, gear, and accoutrements of the participants, and the terrain and weather conditions in which the battle, campaign, or war took place. While these are the definable elements, it is the indefinable that sets the conditions to create a new story. The indefinable in terms of the game starts with the perspective and intention of the player. You decide how to lead your forces to achieve the victory conditions. Your decisions will be affected by the actions of your opponent, but also by the most indefinable of categories, luck. Although dissimilar in many ways, there are elements of role-playing that can be found in many war games. The fundamental element of role-playing is creating and growing a character amid a series of challenges. It can be argued that playing a war game is similar, at least in respect to the role that the player assumes in terms of overseeing his army, a division, a platoon, or perhaps being on his own. In some war games, such as Warfighter, you can select the weapons, equipment, skills, and other attributes before going into battle. The larger the setting, the less you can alter the elements of the game. However, even games that take place across a continent, such as A House Divided, still have a role-playing element of choosing where to move your forces. And while the goal may be to achieve the victory conditions, the reality is that you are creating a new story. The map is your canvas. The counters the paint. The rules provide the parameters. The victory conditions the direction, and your imagination is the engine to create the story. A story has a beginning, middle, and ending. In books, it is a journey that the characters take, and the reader comes along for the ride. In the game, the reader becomes the author who writes the story, and while the story created will take on directions unforeseen, that allows the journey to be different each time the game is played. As I covered in another personal essay, war games are not really recreations of events told from the commander's point of view. They are recreations of events as told from hindsight. Unlike Napoleon, we know what happened in the hills of Borodino, so your character cannot recreate history so much as retell the story so that the ending can either be confirmed or altered. Perhaps creating a new story is what wargaming is all about. The ability to take something known and transform it into something new, the ramifications of which can be speculated based on its historical impact. Napoleon won the Battle of Borodino, but he lost the war amid the flaming ruins of Moscow. His retreat signaled the end of his empire, which would fall 2 years later. Exiled on the Isle of Elba, Napoleon returned to France in 1815, reconstituting his army and invading Belgium to defeat the coalition forces one at a time. He met Wellington on the fields of Waterloo. What happened? Play the game and create your own story. Thank you for watching. Check out our other videos on the Seek Out and Play YouTube channel. Plus, you can keep up with the latest news by visiting our Facebook and Twitter pages. And if you want to support the channel, we have a link to our Patreon page below. And I will see you next Wednesday.